All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Vaughn, and I'm the Director of the Office of Research, Evaluation, and Strategic Policy Development at the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. This afternoon, we're going to be discussing the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and Boost funding opportunity. During our time today, we hope to address any questions you have about this solicitation as well as the application process. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues today, including Zoe Miner, the VIP Program Manager, and Sam Cook, our Director of Policy and Planning. As a reminder, the grant opportunity closes on Monday, January 26th of 2026, and there are many opportunities to reach out and seek support from PCCD before then, which we'll be discussing later in our presentation. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on PCCD's website and YouTube channel once it becomes available. Please check your audio settings now to make sure you can hear today's presentation using your computer or other device. We cannot hear you and you cannot unmute yourself. If you have any questions regarding today's presentation or the funding announcement, please email PCCD staff at ra-cd-vipgrants@pa.gov. Today, we're going to start with a very brief overview of PCCD, then dive into more specifics about the VIP Boost Grant Program, the funding announcement, and the application process. Additionally, we'll provide resources on how to ask questions and seek additional support regarding the funding opportunity, and then answer some frequently asked questions that we have heard from potential applicants so far. We're going to start with that quick overview of PCCD. We've recently at PCCD engaged in strategic planning for our agency, and the mission statement that you'll see on your screen in just a moment is hot off the presses. PCCD's mission is to advance justice system collaboration, support victims, and promote safer schools and communities through planning, training, and financial assistance. This slide shows a snapshot of what PCCD's grant funds have supported in recent years, with the overarching goal of addressing both emerging and long-standing public safety challenges. Those grants address programs related to gun violence prevention, victim services, school safety and mental health, criminal justice system improvements, youth prevention, addressing the overdose epidemic, a variety of behavioral health and mental health initiatives, children's advocacy centers, juvenile justice system improvements, and law enforcement technology and training. If it touches the criminal justice system, generally PCCD is involved in planning and providing funding. But now for the main event, the topic that you're all here to learn more about, our VIP and Boost grant funding. One of the great things about these funds is that they can be used for a wide variety of purposes and have supported a wide range of programs designed to address root causes and impacts of community violence, including all of the examples you see on your screen. VIP funds have supported efforts ranging from upstream youth prevention and engagement activities to community violence intervention strategies like street outreach and violence interruption or hospital-based violence intervention programs. VIP funds have also invested in programs that help people in communities impacted by gun violence heal and recover, from trauma-informed approaches and care to victim services to wraparound supports. As we'll get into later in our session, VIP funds, including funds designated specifically for Boost programs, are guided by eligibility criteria prescribed in state law and described in the written VIP and Boost funding announcement. We strongly encourage interested applicants to review that information and consider how the proposed project activities you are seeking VIP funds to support align with the VIP and Boost grant program's broader goal to prevent and reduce gun and group-related violence within communities in both the short and long term. With that, I'll turn things over to Zoe Miner to discuss specifics about this year's funding announcements.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, and good afternoon, everybody. The majority of today's session will cover the specifics of the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and Boost solicitation, but we will also cover some information to clarify the fiscal year 25-26 statewide Boost solicitation as well. The goal of the fiscal year 25-26 VIP funding is to support a wide range of local community violence prevention and intervention strategies, including upstream prevention for at-risk school-age youth. Please jot these important dates down. The last day to send in questions is Friday, January 23rd, with the initial request form utilizing SurveyMonkey submission submitted by January 26th. Approved applicants will go to the School Safety and Security Committee in spring 2026. Due to the timing of the state budget, we will likely be processing and awarding these grants after March 1st, 2026. However, those applicants ultimately awarded funding will be able to utilize funding for project-related expenses that occur as early as March 1st, 2026. Support during this phase will be provided to approved applicants. As stated in the funding announcement, there is approximately $60 million as part of this year's fiscal year 25-26 appropriation, which includes VIP and Boost and statewide Boost funding. Act 45 of 2025, the Fiscal Code, directs PCCD to reserve at least $11.5 million of appropriated VIP funds for Boost grants. Boost grants support statewide and local out-of-school time programming for at-risk school-age youth. Though the project must be implemented during the 36-month time period, projects do not have to be implemented over the full 36-month period and may have a shorter duration. Additionally, there is no match requirement under this solicitation. So we recognize we switched things up from last year and wanted to briefly go over that. This year, we combined all three solicitations into two. The combined VIP and Boost solicitation, which streamlines the application process, making it easier for eligible organizations to apply and access funding. Based off feedback we received from last year, it was very difficult for eligible applicants to determine which funding announcement or track to apply under. This year, the majority of applicants should focus on the fiscal year 25 combined VIP and Boost funding announcement. The statewide Boost grant solicitation is only open to statewide youth-serving nonprofits with a 501c4 designation. For example, both the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCAs have a statewide umbrella organization that support local affiliates of their organizations. So with that said, what types of organizations are eligible to apply under the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and Boost solicitation? You can see the eligible applicant type on the left side of the table, with the right side of the table showing what eligible activity area that eligible applicant type can apply for. For example, community-based nonprofit 501c3s, school districts, career and technical schools, and libraries can apply for Boost activities, whereas community-based nonprofit 501c3s, municipalities, counties, district attorneys' offices, and institutions of higher education can apply for VIP activities. Any organizations or entities which are not explicitly identified as eligible applicants may not make direct application. However, nothing precludes ineligible entities from receiving services from an eligible applicant or being included as a subrecipient agency within the funding request of an eligible applicant to provide specific goods, activities, and/or services related to the implementation of the proposed project. We cover some of common eligibility questions at the end of this presentation and in our currently posted version of the Q&A. Affiliates of statewide organizations that are included as a subrecipient in a fiscal year 25-26 statewide application cannot separately apply to the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and Boost application. We encourage you all to navigate the funding solicitation by your eligible applicant type, then by eligible activity category. As with prior years, the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and Boost funds can be used to support a wide range of eligible activities designed to reduce and respond to community violence, consistent with statutory requirements under Section 1306-VJ22 of the PA Public School Code and Section 1912.3 of the PA Fiscal Code, including the following 6 program areas that you see on your screen. Please review the funding solicitation for examples of each eligible activity type. PCCD cannot weigh in on your specific proposal or how to respond to certain questions based off your proposed project. Each applicant will be required to select the program area that their project most closely aligns with. And again, PCCD cannot tell you how to respond to this question in the SurveyMonkey form. We also include a list of general allowable grant expenditures, always dependent on the type of project you are proposing in your application. The activities and expenses must be integral to accomplishing the project's goals and objectives. As you're thinking about your budget and related project expenses, please keep in mind that initial funding request budget amounts and time periods must be commensurate with the type of activity and program described in the application, including the proposed scope and scale of activities to be supported with grant funds. Reasonableness and feasibility will be factored in as part of the budget detail score. Similarly to the prior funding cycles, these are the following priority consideration areas. We encourage applicants to review the appendix and resources beginning on page 8 of the funding announcement as you work on your application. Next, we'll cover how to navigate the initial request process. So again, as a reminder, the fiscal year 25-26 combined VIP and boost solicitation utilizes SurveyMonkey, while the statewide boost solicitation is in eGrants. Just to reiterate again, only statewide youth-serving nonprofit organizations with a 501c4 designation are eligible under the statewide boost application in eGrants. All other eligible applicants should read through the combined VIP and boost solicitation utilizing SurveyMonkey. Under both solicitations, eligible applicants will be asked to provide the same general information with slight variations for the specifics outlined in each respective solicitation. Please review each funding announcement for specific questions, but these are the general sections and points per section. Another difference from prior funding cycles is that there is no separate proposal narrative to attach. All responses should be submitted using the SurveyMonkey form. As I stated before, most applicants will want to focus on the fiscal year 25-26 VIP and boost solicitation using SurveyMonkey. We developed a reference document that was a PDF and is now a Word document so applicants can prepare responses in advance. Please make sure you actually respond using the SurveyMonkey form. You cannot just attach the Word document to your SurveyMonkey submission. If you do, that document will not get reviewed and scored. So if you're new to the SurveyMonkey process, we wanted to share a few tips. First, prepare your responses outside of SurveyMonkey. If you do need to work on your submission at different times, you must use the same computer, device, or browser. However, we don't recommend this as you can easily lose your work. When ready, and after everyone in your organization that you need to contribute does, select one person to submit to ensure there is no duplicate submissions. If there are, PCCD will review the submission that is closest to the due date. Now for a few tips on actual questions that you will find in the form. Question 2 asks for your EIN. We ask you to double check this to make sure that your EIN is entered correctly. Question 3 asks for your contact information. Please ensure that the email addresses are accurate so we can reach you when funding decisions are made. And lastly, just for a reminder, for question 22, we are asking for zip codes. If you're entering multiple zip codes, please enter them, separating them with a comma. So another thing that we wanted to go over that is very different from last year is how we structured the budget and narrative in the SurveyMonkey form. Question 39 is the total for all expenditure categories with the total grant request. This should match question 15 in the SurveyMonkey form. The total amount of grant funding is the total amount for the entire project period, not a per year amount. Then after question 39, each expenditure category has its own section with two parts. You'll see on your screen that we are using the personnel category as an example. Question 40 for personnel has the totals by year, and then question 41 then asks for a narrative justifying and providing explanations and calculations for the dollar amounts presented in question 40 and matching question 39. Now I will turn things over to Sam to go over how to get support during the application process and next steps.
Thanks, Zoe. So before we dive into a handful of frequently asked questions that we've already received to date, and we have received several, I did want to give you just a quick overview of how you can reach out to PCCD if you still need assistance and don't see your question answered anywhere. So in terms of how to ask questions, a reminder that today's webinar, as Zoe noted, is being recorded and it will be posted on our website once it's available. So that may be a good resource for you to bookmark, perhaps share with colleagues who weren't able to make it to today's webinar, just something you can refer back to for information if it's helpful and needed. You can also email PCCD staff at any time using the email address listed on this slide. That's ra-cd-vipgrants@pa.gov. And any new questions that come into that resource account will be answered and then posted on the funding announcement Q&A document, which is updated pretty regularly and posted on PCCD's active funding announcements webpage. We definitely encourage you to check out that Q&A document before you reach out to our team, because it's entirely possible that the question that you have has already been asked and answered by somebody else. And just a quick note, as we typically caveat on these things, due to the competitive nature of the funding announcement, a reminder that our staff will not be able to answer questions about your organization's specific proposal or how to respond to specific questions, but we can offer some help if you have questions about clarifying the funding announcement requirements. So if you've done all of those things and you're still feeling a little stuck on something, or if you have additional questions, would definitely encourage applicants to check out some of the free technical assistance resources that are available through our PA Peace Alliance initiative, which launched a couple of years ago. That technical assistance team can serve as a really great sounding board and help you to navigate some parts of the application process that PCCD staff may not be able to. And so WestEd's team has also built out a ton of really great tools and information on their online resource library, which is located at papeacealliance.org. So definitely encourage you to check that out. Lots of great resources in that online tool that might help you as you're thinking about your proposal. The technical assistance team will also be hosting 3 TA office hour sessions for applicants in January. You can see those 3 dates are listed on this slide here: January 7th, January 13th, and January 20th, all at noon. So encourage you to save those dates, and you can find links to sign up and join on that PA Peace Alliance website if you want to get any burning questions answered or get some advice on best practices for applicants. Those office hours are really a great chance to connect with experts, as well as with your peers who might have similar questions and conundrums that they're working through. And so if you're still feeling a little bit stuck on something and want even more assistance, You can also request one-on-one support from WestEd's TA team by emailing them or by using the request technical assistance or contact form, which is located on that PA Peace Alliance website. So if you're looking for that email address, it's right there on the slide, penviptta, all one word, @wested.org. So heading over and pivoting a little bit to timeframes and application review and award process. Just a reminder again that the deadline for submitting your application is Monday, January 26th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. After the funding announcements close, PCCD will be conducting a competitive review of those applications we received using teams of internal and external reviewers. After that process concludes, we'll be presenting recommended applications to the School Safety and Security Committee sometime in the spring for action. Applicants who are approved by the committee will then be contacted and asked to submit an application in the eGrant system to finalize the award. Just a note that if you are a 501c4 organization who's applying under the statewide boost funding announcement and you are approved for an award, PCCD program and fiscal staff will be in touch with you after the committee's meeting to make any necessary updates to your eGrants application to finalize. And then just a reminder, as in years past, we will be providing additional support and resources for all of our selected applicants if they need any support while navigating the eGrants application process. We know sometimes it can take a little bit of a learning curve, so we're here to support you. So moving to a couple of frequently asked questions we wanted to cover today with this group, and a note again that we have already received lots and lots of questions from applicants. So this is just a smattering, if you will. A full list of questions and answers that have been published to date is again available in that funding announcement question and answer document we've mentioned a couple of times. So our first frequently asked question is, should I apply under the FY 25-26 VIP boost funding announcement or the statewide boost funding announcement? And so we've covered this before, but just to clarify, the only entities that can apply for the statewide boost funding announcement in eGrants would be statewide youth serving organizations with 501c4 status. So again, if you are not a 501c4 organization, you would need to be eligible under the other VIP and boost funding announcement through SurveyMonkey and head there, or you need to be included as a subrecipient in the statewide app. Our next question, a couple of folks have reached out about asking whether current grantees or organizations that have previously received PCCD funding are eligible to apply for this year's VIP and boost funding opportunities. And the short answer there is absolutely. If you are an eligible entity under these funding announcements, you can submit an application regardless of whether you've received a grant from us before. That said, just ask you to be aware that you will be asked to describe those currently funded activities or previously funded activities and how your proposed activities are different from or would build upon those previously or currently funded efforts. And then just a note, as part of the review process, PCCD may take into account prior performance as we make those funding decisions. And also a note too, you don't have to have previously gotten funding from us to apply, and we will be providing priority consideration to folks who haven't received funding from us before, as well as for folks who have a great track record with our funds whose grants may be ending or have ended before a certain period next year. So again, check out the funding announcement for more on that, but just wanted to make it clear that if you've gotten money from us before, you can absolutely come in again. We're just going to ask you for a little bit more information in your proposal. Moving to our next question, if you are affiliated with a statewide youth serving nonprofit organization and you're sitting here considering whether you should apply on your own or be included as a proposed subrecipient for a statewide boost proposal, we just ask that you please be mindful that under the solicitation, you do need to choose one or the other. So in other words, you can't submit your own application under VIP and boost in SurveyMonkey and then also be included within a statewide boost application that's submitted by an eligible entity within the e-grant system. So if you have any additional questions about that, again, you can reach out, but just wanted to clarify that since we've gotten a couple questions on that front already. Moving right along, if you are wondering how much money you can request under this year's VIP and Boost offerings, as with prior years, the amount is based on your organization's annual operating budget, which we've defined as the organization's total actual expenditures between the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. So no applicant could request more than $500,000 total for their entire VIP and Boost proposed project. And a note that you will be asked to provide documentation verifying this information within your application. So if you, like me, struggle with math a little bit and want a quick example of what that looks like in practice, for an organization whose annual operating expenditures were $150,000, the most that applicant will be able to ask for is $75,000, so half of that annual operating budget. As another example, if you're an entity that has an actual operating budget of more than $1 million, for instance, the most you can ask for is $500,000 for the entire project period. And again, just make sure as you're thinking about that, we will be asking you for documentation. And so you should have that handy as you're prepping your application. A couple caveats to this. The first is that this question really does focus on the VIP and Boost funding announcement in SurveyMonkey. So statewide Boost applicants should check out that funding announcement for some additional instructions on maximum award amounts. And then second is that unlike last year, the max award amount, $500,000, is actually the same for all VIP and Boost applicants. So we don't have different max award amounts under that single solicitation for different types of projects. All right, so our next and final example of an FAQ is around payments. So we often get questions around how we provide funding to grantees. For folks who may not be aware, PCCD does provide funding on a reimbursement basis, and that's consistent with Commonwealth policies and guidelines. If your proposed project is awarded, you're going to be asked to submit quarterly program and fiscal reports describing the activities that you completed in the previous reporting period. And your fiscal report is the vehicle by which you request reimbursement for expenses that were approved in your project budget. And just a note, we can't provide reimbursement payments until the fiscal report that you've submitted has been reviewed and approved by our team. Another note is that you can submit fiscal reports more often than quarterly if you desire. We'll just note that some organizations have found this helpful in terms of cash flow purposes. Think about things like payroll, for example. So our team is happy to work with you if that's something that you're interested in after the award period. So those were sort of the examples of questions that we've gotten. We've mentioned it a few times, but it bears repeating that the funding announcement Q&A document is really going to be a helpful resource for you to keep going back to. We strongly recommend bookmarking PCCD's active funding announcements webpage and visiting that regularly, because we are routinely updating the funding announcement Q&A document and posting it to that webpage. And again, that document is going to include answers to all of the questions that PCCD has received on the VIP and Boost funding announcements to date. And you can see that screen grab over to the right shows you kind of generally where you'll be able to find that VIP and Boost link among some of the other open funding announcements that PCCD has available at the moment. So with that, I appreciate, and I know the team appreciates everyone hopping on and spending a little bit of time with us today. We really appreciate your interest in the VIP and Boost funding opportunities this year. We wish you the best of luck as you work to prepare your application materials. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out or utilize the resources that we've highlighted today. We're here to assist, and we really appreciate everybody taking the time and spending a little bit of time on these things. And we look forward to reviewing your proposals in the new year. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a very, very happy weekend.